whenever I need to come. Okay, so yeah, so I'm recording this session so that whenever I need to come back to it, you can just rewatch the session.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so in the strategies, in the package that you guys paid for, it contains 2 strategies. We're going to start with okay, we're going to start with the other one, not this one. Let me just remove the slides. Okay, so yeah, there's 2 strategies. The first one I'm going to be looking at is the easy SNB, then the other one is the extreme SNB. But before I begin, I first want to find out where you guys are at when it comes to trading. Like, are you guys complete beginners, or have you done some research before? Like, where you guys at?
Okay, for me, I can say that you were actually my foundation. So it's not my first time being exposed to the market.
Okay.
So I can say fundamentally, actually, the first thing I actually started with.
Oh, I see. Okay, so are you familiar with like some terms when it comes to the basics, like what pips are, what leverages, lot sizes, and so on?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Moses? How familiar are you with the basics?
Yeah, I've been trading for like a year now, so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I just haven't really gotten into fundamental. I've just mainly been doing technical.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. I guess that's good. So none of you are complete beginners. At least you understand the basics. So, okay. Yeah. So I guess we won't really go deep into the basics. Anyway, fundamental analysis, that's what we're going to be focusing on. So that's what these strategies are based on. So the first strategy we're going to be looking at is the easy SNB. SNB just stands for sell and buy, because our whole goal with this strategy is to hedge the trade. So pretty much whichever direction price goes will be on the safe side, because we're placing both the buy and the sell. Now for the easy SNB, how we do that is by within one account, for example, Hotforex, we're going to be placing one buy stop and one sell stop. By us placing one buy stop and one sell stop, we're going to hedge the news event. I hope you guys have learned so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So buy stops, sell stops. These are a type of trade where your broker waits for price to reach a certain point before they go live for you. So for example, a buy stop, your broker is going to wait for price to increase to a certain point. Then they'll place a trade for you. You actually be live in the trade from that point onwards. Then a sell stop is just the opposite. So your broker waits for price to drop to a certain point. Then you become live in that trade. So you can think of these as future trades that you're placing, because when you place them, you're not live in the trade there and then. They wait for a certain point before going live. I hope that's not too complicated.
No.
It makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so for the easy SNB, we'll be using one account. Then within that one account, we'll be placing one buy stop and one sell stop. It should always be one buy stop and one sell stop, because it's easier for you to close as opposed to placing 5 buy stops and 5 sell stops. What you could do in that case is just combine the lot sizes into one position. So if you're going to place 5 positions for buy stops, and each of them have got like lot size 1, you may as well just combine the lot size into lot size 5, then make only one position for a buy stop. So it will be easier for you to close it anyway. So yeah, you should only be sticking to one position for each order. I hope that has made sense.
Okay, so does it mean you when you place, let's say the buy stop and the sell stop, let's say it activates the sell stop and then goes to the buy stop, you place your stop loss at the buy stop?
Stop losses. We don't really put stop losses because of the amount of time we have to place the same orders.
Okay.
For these strategies, the easy SMB and the extreme SMB, you'll be placing them 1 minute before the news event happens. So approximately you have 30 seconds for a buy stop and 30 seconds for a sell stop. So like if you start adding stop losses, take profits, that will show into your 30 seconds for each order. So we just choose to place them.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that.
So meaning you just close it the moment it activates the buy stop.
When it's blue.
It goes ahead.
When it's blue.
Okay.
You only close it when it's blue. When it's red, leave it for a few seconds. Then if 15 to 20 seconds passes and it's not turning blue, just close it because price hasn't reacted as much.
Okay.
But when with a good news event, when it turns blue, that's when you close everything. But when closing, you should start by closing the one that's live first. So you close the one that's blue, then you close the other one that hasn't been triggered. That's how it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any more questions before we move on?
No.
Okay. Okay, so the easy SMB, comparing it to the extreme SMB, it's less effective. It's the least effective strategy in this package. The reason why is because when placing buy stops and sell stops, you have to state a number where you want your broker to enter for you. Now for us, we'll be placing that number 10 pips away from price's current position. Now the reason why it's less effective is because of this same 10 pips. We are basically giving away 10 pips before we go live. Now, if we account for the spread and assume it's like 2 pips, that means we're essentially giving away 12 pips. So those 12 pips, if you're trading, let's say with the lot size 1, which is $10 per pip, that means you'd have lost out $120 just like that. So like this, it's not really as effective as the other strategy. I hope you guys have understood.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so in as much as it is easy to execute, it only requires one account. You give away 10 pips. You sacrifice some pips. So it just depends. If you feel like trading with this strategy, you can go ahead. If you feel like using the other one, you can also go ahead. Although the other one is a bit more, it's more mentally taxing. But anyway, I'll get into that. You'll see why I'm saying it's more mentally taxing. Anyway, moving on. The easiest SMB, it's got its own list of news events. Now, I'm sure you guys know what news events are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So news events, not all the news events are equally as powerful. Some of them are more powerful than others. Now, I deliberately chose this list for the easiest SMB. The reason why is because for news events that are usually like very volatile, we want to milk every single pip movement with it. So if you compare this list to like the extreme SMB list, this one has got more powerful events because it's more effective. So I'd rather use the more effective strategy on a more volatile event because I want to milk every single pip movement from it. With this one, there's some protection because in case price doesn't move, like for example, CAD GDP, the way the easiest SMB is set up, it will help you out because if it doesn't move, you don't lose anything and so on. You understood?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the lesson, I'll send you guys screenshots of this. If you want, you can be using it as a reference, but I would recommend you master the list so that you don't have to be pulling out the screenshot all the time. Anyway, so this is the list of news events. So any news event that's not amongst this list, we don't trade it. Like for example, crude oil inventories. That one is that's a useless event, so we don't trade it, and so on. So yeah, any news event that's not here, we ignore it. It's useless to us. Are there any questions before we move on to the extreme SMB? No questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Emmanuel, you're good?
I'm good. I was just looking at GBP interest rates. The last time I actually had an experience with it was it had a lot of momentum.
Okay.
Mhm.
How many times have you traded before?
Well, I've been on the chat with it twice. I've seen it twice.
I see. Okay. Oh yeah, you could, if you want to take the risk, because sometimes these news events, they don't really move that much. But if you want, you could use the same GBP interest rates, or especially this one, Euro interest rates with the extreme SNB. But in my opinion, they don't really move as much as compared to the other ones, as much as compared to these ones. Yeah. But anyway, that's up to you. If you want, you can also use the extreme on these ones, but I really don't recommend it, because if it doesn't move, that means you lose out because of the spread, because you have to close the trade. And when you open the trade, the spread is deducted. So like when you close it, you don't get the spread back, essentially. So if it doesn't move, you basically make a loss, a small loss, but it's still a loss. So yeah, for news events that don't move that much, I would advise you use the easiest NB. The easiest NB, because it's a future trade. It only goes live after the 10 pips have been met, and so on. We can move on.
Yes, we can.
The extreme SNB strategy. So just like before, we're selling and buying. But this time we're doing it in a very interesting way. We're going to be utilizing two accounts at the same time. So for instance, we're going to have an account with Hotforex and Just Forex side by side. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hedging, yes, but the way we're going to be hedging it is in one account, which is Hotforex, for instance, we're going to be placing a buy. Then in Just Forex, we're going to be placing an opposite trade. So in this case, we're going to be placing a sell. So one buy and one sell in opposite accounts, or in different accounts. I hope that has made sense.
Yes.
Yeah, so you basically be managing two accounts at the same time. Now, when it comes to the news event actually happening, if you're in the account where okay, let's say you're in Hotforex, right? And you place the buy, and price overall is a sell. Since it's a sell and you had placed a buy, that means the account that you're in, you're going to see red. Now, the moment you see red appear in the account that you're in, just know that in the other account where you place the opposite trade, there's going to be profit in there. So you're going to ditch that account and you're going to switch to the other side. And the moment you enter the other account, you're going to see blue. And when you see blue, you start closing immediately, because price does reverse. I bet both of you have gone through that. Price reverses if you take long to close the trade. So the moment you see blue, just start closing immediately. Don't worry about the account that you've ditched, the one in red. The whole goal of this strategy is to lose money in one account, then gain what you've lost plus much more on top from the other account, the one that has got profit in it. So yeah, don't really worry about the one that's in red, that's going to be blown. I hope you guys have understood.
Yeah. Would you recommend, let's say, with Hotforex, doing two accounts under Hotforex?
As long as they're under different people's names, so like your brother's name and your name. But like if they're both under your name, you might get kicked out. I actually got banned with RoboForex when I did that.
Oh, that's what. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just I would advise against that. As long as it's under different names, that should be
different names. Fine.
Yeah.
No.
Are there any other questions?
The rest I'll ask later. It's
okay. Mano, we're good. Do you have any questions?
We're good. No, we're good.
Okay, it has made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so our whole goal basically is just to hedge the trade. So one account we place a buy, the other one we place a sell. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's mentally taxing is because the way I've explained it, it's easy. But when it comes to executing it, you feel your blood pressure going up and the clock is ticking and stuff, everything just happens so quickly. So you just need to keep practicing and everything will get much easier to execute. So just like I mentioned before, all this is supposed to be done 1 minute before the news event happens. So if the event is at 13:30, at 13:29, that's when you start placing the buy stops, the sell stops for the easy SMB. If you're using the extreme, that's when you start placing the buys and the sells, and so on. So approximately, you have 30 seconds for each. One buy, that's 30 seconds. The other sell, that's another 30 seconds. So yeah, you just need to keep practicing so that you can get within those bounds. It should never be beyond 1 minute. But if you're fast enough, even like 10 seconds before the news event happens, that'll help you out a lot because you'll get to skip most of the spread increments that the broker makes at the last second. So yeah, to help you out, just keep practicing. Do you have any questions for everyone?
No.
Okay. All right, so that's the extreme, my favorite strategy. So just like I showed you the list of events for the easy SMB, this is the list of events for the extreme. So I'll also send you a screenshot of this. So I'll send you 2 screenshots so far. I'll send you this one and the list of events for the easy SMB. Moving on. On price, you guys said you're not really beginners, right? So you have at least an idea of what price is and the types of currency pairs that exist, right?
Yeah.
Emmanuel, are you okay also? Are you aware
Yes, I'm
of
okay.
the 2 types of currency pairs and how to add pips and subtract pips and so on?
Well, if you say the 2 types, you mean base and quote? Yes, I can say I do have an idea.
No, not for the sides of the currency pair, but like for the type of currency pair as a whole. Like there's JPY and non-JPY. Are you familiar with those?
I do have an idea, but not completely.
Okay, so we should go through it just to jog your memory. Okay. All right. So in this example, it's giving us Euro USD. Now, this is one of the 2 types of currency pairs that exist. This one in particular, Euro USD, is a non-JPY pair. The reason why it's a non-JPY pair is because when you look at it, there's no JPY anywhere. JPY is just the Japanese currency. Now, there's obviously no JPY here. That's why it's a non-JPY pair. That's one way to tell them apart anyway. So this is a non-JPY pair. Then if you see a currency pair has got like JPY here or JPY here in some in some rare currency pairs, that makes it a JPY pair because JPY is present. It could be present on the base side or the quote side. It doesn't really matter which side it's on. As long as it's present in the currency pair as a whole, it's called a JPY pair. You're following, Emmanuel?
Yes, I'm following.
Okay. Now that's one way to tell them apart. Another way to tell them apart is by looking at the price. Non-JPY pairs, like this example here, Euro USD, it's quoted in 5 decimal places here. Now, this is only for non-JPY pairs. For JPY pairs, they're quoted in 3 decimal places. Sorry, just give me 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, non-JPY pairs, there are 5 decimal places. That's how many decimal places they're coded in. Then for JPY pairs, they're coded in 3 decimal places. So if I can just show you an example real quick. Are you guys able to see the my screen properly? Do I need to zoom in or anything like that?
It's clear.
Everything's clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So for this currency pair here, USD JPY, that's a JPY pair because there's JPY in it here. Now, when you look at the price here, it doesn't matter which price. When you look at this price, it's in 3 decimal places here. So there's a decimal point, then there's 1, 2, 3. So 3 decimal places. Now, when you look at a non-JPY pair, like this one here, it's also coded in 5 decimal places. So it's like a universal law. So as long as there's no JPY in it, it will have 5 decimal places. Then if it's got JPY in it, it will have 3 decimal places. Now going back to price, when it comes to adding and subtracting pips or pip calculations in general, we always ignore the last decimal place here. This one represents points. Points are just a smaller version of pips. It's a fraction of a pip. So we don't really consider it when adding the pips because points are too small for us. If price moves 1 point, that's not enough for us to make a living. So pips are what you should to focus on. So pips, this is why they begin. So if this 1 becomes a 3, that means the whole price has gone up by 2 pips and so on. So yeah, the last decimal place, we always ignore it. Same with JPY pairs. This last decimal place, we always ignore it. So if this 9 becomes, sorry, if these 2 digits become like 20, that means the whole price has gone up by 1 pip because it's become a 2 and a 0. You guys know math. So yeah, that's how we calculate pips and subtract and add them. So we don't really consider the last decimal place. For JPY pairs, we don't count the 3rd decimal place. For non-JPY pairs, we don't count the 5th decimal place and so on. Is everything making sense?
Yes.
Okay. Emmanuel, you've understood. Do you have any questions? Have you understood everything properly?
Yes, I've now understood.
Okay. All right. Anyway, if I told you I've got any questions later on, you could just come back to the recording and rewatch the whole session all over again. So don't be worried. Moving on. I'm sure both of you know how to navigate MetaTrader 4, right? So I don't have to really, I don't have to go through that, right? For you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll just go straight into this part of MetaTrader 4. The trade section. Like we all know, this is the part where we place trades from. Now, by default, this is going to be selected for you. Instant execution, sometimes it will be market execution. But with Hotforex, that's Forex, it will be market execution. Now, in this example that we're going to start, we're going to be assuming we're executing the easiest NB. Now, for the easiest NB, this type of order is not what we want. So to first select buy stops and sell stops, just click there. Then in the drop-down menu, we're going to be focusing on the last 2 options here. So we're going to start with the buy stop. So assuming you click on that, we'll be taken to this part of the app. Now here, we're only focusing on 2 things, the lot size and the part called price. Price is just the point where the trade is going to go live for us. Okay, I've got 10 minutes left. That's what Zoom is telling me. Okay, I'll just squeeze everything in 10 minutes. Okay, so yeah. So lot size and price. Price is the point where you want to enter the trade. Now, assuming you've calculated lot size to be lot size 1, we're going to leave it like that, which is 1.00. Then we're going to move on to price. With price, when it comes to the buy stop, we're going to be getting the ask price, which is the bigger number. Amongst these two numbers here, it's the bigger number, the ask price. Or if you want, you could get this number in red. It doesn't really matter. They are the same number, this one and the bigger number there. So you get that number. Then what you're going to be doing is you're going to add 10 pips to this number. Now, if I can zoom in, for us to add 10 pips, we're going to place the 1 here and the 0 here. Then the total price is going to be 1.1781. So that price that we've calculated, that's what I'm going to paste here. Then we're done calculating that and pasting. We come to the bottom here and click on place immediately. You're following? So just like I mentioned before, stop losses, take profits, we don't do those because we only have 30 seconds. So we're going to ignore them. Stop loss, take profit, expiration, we're going to ignore that. So the moment we're done calculating the price and placing it there, we're going to place the trade, the order. So after placing the buy stop, you'll be taken to this page here, except it won't be looking at this because it's an active trade. Anyway, when you place the trade, you'll notice that no numbers are moving. Everything will be stationary. So after placing the buy stop and you land on this page, you're going to start the process all over again, except for this time, you're going to focus on sell stop. So you click up there, then you'll be taken back to this page. Now here, we still don't want instant execution. So I'm going to click there. Then in the drop-down menu, we're going to select sell stop this time. Now sell stop is very similar to buy stop, except this time, we're going to be getting the smaller price among these two numbers here. The smaller price or the blue price here, which is the bid price. So we get that number, then this time we're going to be subtracting. So from this number here, 1.1769, we're going to be subtracting 10 pips from it. So I'm going to put the 1 here and the 0 here. Then the total number is going to be 1.1759 this time. So that number is what I'm going to paste here. While maintaining the same lot size, by the way. The lot size should never change. Both positions should have the same lot size. So lot size 1, then the number calculated, we place it here. Then just like before, we're going to ignore stop loss, take profit, and expiration. We're going to place the order immediately. Okay, so that's the easiest MB. Then when you land on this page again, you now see that there's two positions, one for a buy stop and another one for a sell stop. So two positions, 1, 2. Are there any questions before we move on to the extreme?
Oh, it's clear.
No questions.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the extreme SMB. By the way, if I'm moving too fast, just let me know. Eh? I can slow down a bit. So yeah,
Are you going to send another link? Are you going to send another link when time's up, or we've exhausted everything?
I'll send you a link to this session. Then if you don't have accounts with Hotforex and Just Forex, I could send you links as well for that if you want.
Oh, so those are the best brokers for these strategies?
Those are the ones that I use. So to me, those are the
Okay.
best ones that I've been working with.
Okay.
Yeah, so I bet you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, you see me post screenshots of draws from Hotforex and Just Forex.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the ones that I'm really familiar with, and those are the ones I would recommend you guys get. Yeah.
Then with what leverage?
Hotforex, actually, no, in general, for these two strategies, the minimum leverage should be 1 to 1,000. So if you decide to go for another broker, not including Hotforex and Just Forex, you should always pick one with the leverage of 1 to 1,000 going up. It should never be below 1 to 1,000. The reason why is because for the extreme SMB, if you go for a leverage of 1 to 100, profit might not be accumulating fast enough for you to recover the amount that you've lost, the losing trade, the losing account. Exactly, yeah. It should always be 1 to 1,000 going up. Otherwise, these strategies won't be that effective for you.
So for instance, on an account with, let's say, $100,
Sorry, just
what?
So for this one, what he's trying to say is that if you do have $100, let's say in hot forex and in just forex, you go for the highest leverage, and then
sorry, just say that again.
What I wanted to ask is, what lot size would you recommend with the extreme FNB if, let's say, you put 100 in each account?
I guess that depends on where prices are there and then. What I'll do is I'll send you a link on how to calculate the lot size so that you can be able to calculate on how what lot size to use specific to your account balance and where prices are there and then.
Okay.
Yeah. For lot size, you could calculate the lot size even like 5 minutes before the news event happens, because price isn't really going to move that much within 5 minutes of the news event. So 5 minutes is good enough. But anyway, I'll send the link regardless.
Also, you can even put like, you can max it out if you wanted.
Yes, although there's some security bounds that I've put. But anyway, in the video, I talk about that, 60% and so on. I'll send you the link on how to calculate the lot sizes. Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any more questions?
no, for me.
Okay. I hope everything is clear so far, like from the beginning of the lesson. If you've got any questions or anything, feel free. I don't mind going 4 slides back just to help your question. Okay, I'm going to take that as no, everyone's clear. All right, so the extreme SNB, my favorite strategy. For the extreme SNB, we're not going to be focusing on buy stops and sell stops. The reason why is because we don't want to place future trades when it comes to the extreme. We want to enter the trade there and then. The second we place buy and sell, we want to be live in the trade. Now, the way that we're going to do that is by utilizing instant execution or market execution. So by default, it's going to be selected for you. So we're going to leave it like that. Then we're going to move on to the lot size. So assuming you've calculated the lot size to be lot size 1, we're going to leave it like that. Then in one account, we're going to place a sell. Then when the order is placed, we're going to switch to the other account. Then we're going to maintain the same type of order. In this case, market instant execution. For hot forex and just forex, just like I said, it will be showing market execution. So by default, it should also be selected for you. So that's what you keep there. Then the lot size should be the same as well. So if the lot size is lot size 1 in the first account, in the second account, you also maintain lot size 1.00. Then after placing the lot size, you are going to click buy. So one account you place a sell, then the other one you place a buy, and so on. Now, what phones are you guys with? Are you with Androids, iPhones? What phones do you guys use?
I'm using an iPhone.
Okay.
Android.
Okay. For Androids, we're going to be using an app called Duospace. Duospace is an application that allows you to duplicate applications within your phone. So using that app, you can have 2 MetaTrader 4 applications. So in one MetaTrader 4, you are going to link your Hotforex account. Then in the other one, the duplicate,